Okay, now I'm ringing the bell for real. Our speaker today pointed out at our table that, if you didn't get to take a trip, we're in this destination that everybody wants to be. So Greenville, you could just get a room at the Westin and Fabian would be delighted. So we're at the top of every list. So I would like to invite Brian Little up to deliver our invocation and pledge. And then we have the return of Stan Starnes. Those of you who've been in this club will remember that he used to do songs for us back some years ago. He will be returning to us to lead us in a song. So Brian, thanks very much.
If you'll stand, we'll have our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Let us pray. We have gathered in the spirit of truth, fairness, goodwill, friendship, and concern for others. We are thankful for the blessings of this day, this country, and for the unique gathering of this service-minded community leaders. Lord, even as we pray these words and express these thoughts, we are not always the people we would like others to think we are. In this paralysis of spirit, we contribute to unrest, indifference to our neighbors' needs, and preoccupation with material standards. Dear God, you who are so patient, so caring, and so understanding, forgive our inadequacies and help us to model your direction and love. Now we humbly ask that you would bless this gathering and us to a deeper commitment to service. Amen. Let us say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, folks, we're going to sing the national anthem, and I'm going to see if I can get the right note. It's not that one. That's E. We're going to start on that note. Are you ready? Oh, and you see, I am dawn's early cry, what so proudly we bear. At the twilight's last gleaming, through cross lights and bright stars, through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's bright flare, of bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see all of you here today. It's my great privilege to be able to present our guest Rotarians and our visitors. Today, and guests, Rotarians, and visitors, if you will stand so everybody can recognize you, please hold your applause till the end. It's going to be very short, though. We don't have very many visitors with us today. So, one visitor, guest of the club, Paul Antosi. And another visitor, guest of the club, Justin Harris. We're glad to have both of you here today. It's so exciting. Thank you so much.
I've been up here the last 3 weeks to talk about the bucket. Just want to make sure that you all know that it's there. And did you know that Wayne Kolb was paying to match any contribution that you put in there today? is not only an antitrust breach of contract and trade dispute things, but serves as general counsel to a number of educational institutions here in town. And that's it for your commercial for this month. But I will have a total as to what he had to match. We already have a sponsor for next month, but we are open for other sponsors going forward. Please see Mr. Perrier or anybody else. But my pleasure this morning is to please introduce another broadcaster. Bryce Caldwell is the general manager of Fox Carolina, which serves Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, and Asheville in their television needs. He came here from being the general manager of the NBC station in Rochester, Minnesota, so he will miss the snow this Halloween. Before that, he was in Knoxville, where he was the general manager at WTNZ, the Fox station there, and in sales manager at WATE there in Knoxville. Began his broadcasting career in Nashville, as well as sales positions in Orlando, Florida. Now, his station here is WHNS Fox Carolina. HNS comes from Harry and Stella Pappas, who were friends of mine who bought this station in 1979 for $200,000. Yeah. Gray bought the station from Meredith Broadcasting Fusco, along with some others, for $2.7 billion. So some things have changed. Now, Gray's roots began in January of 1891 with the creation of the Albany Herald in Albany, Georgia. Between the early 1990s and today, the group has divested themselves of most of their newspapers and mostly operates television stations. They currently own and operate television stations and leading digital properties in 94 television markets. And of those 94, 70 of them are the #1 news in that marketplace. So Gray stations cover approximately 24% of the households in this country, with 400 separate programming streams and nearly 150 affiliate stations. Now, obviously, things are changing in the TV business. Gray seems to be driving more of that change. Bryce has come here to tell you how your television world is going to change in your living room and what will change the nation, occurring less than 135 miles from where you're sitting right now. Let's have a Rotary welcome to Mr. Bryce Caldwell.
Sorry, I can't stand still, so it just makes it a little easier. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you guys today. It's a great honor, and I can't blame Dave because the news has been moving quickly here, but I actually have a little update on that. In fact, we're in 113 markets now, and it is part of a little over $8 billion in acquisitions that the company has made since 2019. And so, but with great pleasure that we enter the Greenville television market. And a little bit about me before. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, Southern boy, went to the University of Tennessee for my undergrad and went to the University of Florida for my graduate degree, just to make sure that everyone in the room is offended by my football allegiances. I don't make too many friends there, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And, you know, since college, worked in, as Dave mentioned, worked in Nashville, Orlando, Charlotte, Knoxville, Rochester, Minnesota, and Greenville, South Carolina. And one of those is not like the other. And so after the last 3 years, especially with COVID, being stuck in the snow where I couldn't see the grass in my yard from Thanksgiving to Easter, I have some young boys and my wife that were very, very excited to move back to the Southeast and have better weather. And we're absolutely enjoying our time here in Greenville. Just bought a home down the street here in downtown Greenville and have absolutely had a blast. But can we switch? Is this up here? If I hit the button? There we go. I thought it might be, they asked me what should be the title of this presentation, and I said investing in Greenville news media, because that absolutely is Gray Television's intention and its purpose. As I mentioned, Gray Television has absolutely exploded since 2019. In early 2019, Gray purchased a group of TV stations by the name of Raycom, which basically doubled the size of the company from 45 markets to over 90. And then in the past year, in 2021, acquired a Midwest company called Quincy Media that was almost entirely in the Midwest. And then Meredith, which has been the caretaker of Fox Carolina for quite some time before that. And that brings up the number. Here we go. Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. To 113, and approximately 36% of the US. By revenue, there, of course, everyone in media likes to say they're number one in something. I always like to qualify, we're number 2 in size in the nation now in terms of revenue. And so it is a company that has gotten very large, a lot of scale. But as Dave mentioned, is something we're very proud of, one of quality. And so in about 80 markets, we've got the number 1 TV station in the country, and 101 where we have the number 1 or number 2 station. So it makes a difference. Not every TV station is created equal. Not every broadcaster's investment into their local communities. And so I'm really proud to work for Gray Television and be a part here of this market now. There's also a lot of other kind of fun investments that the company has made. Some that are really, really close to here, but we've gotten heavily into production. We've got movie studios. We've got Third Rail Studios, which is based down in suburban Atlanta, GM assembly plant. It's a project called The Assembly, where they're actually building 20, maybe 25. It's in the process of getting worked out right now, movie studios. And we just announced a couple of months ago that we entered into a long-term partnership with NBC Universal, where they will be managing those movie studios and actually producing most of the content out of there. But also there'll be some third-party rental agreements as well. And so kind of exciting. It'll be an homage to the company as well in suburban Atlanta, and should be something that's a lot of fun. There's a map actually that kind of shows you where it is. Not geographically concentrated in any market. We are all over the East Coast and the Southeast, but the markets get really big out west, and so you see just a handful. Not in California and 39 U.S. states, but then here's where it gets really exciting and maybe a little bit more interesting for us here in Greenville. With the acquisition of Fox Carolina, we now have every county in South Carolina covered by a Gray Television property. These are all, if you guys have ever lived in any of these other markets, these are fantastic sister stations that we now get to work with on a daily basis. WIS in Columbia being one of our biggest partners because they're obviously in the state capital, number 1 TV station there. And it gives us a lot of shared resources. And that's why we would say, well, what does this mean to us? It allows us to not only obviously put our resources locally all into the upstate and make sure that we're covering everything that moves here in town, but it allows us to have, eyes on the coast come hurricane season, live cameras everywhere you would want them. A shared State House reporter in Mary Green that does daily live reports for us in our newscasts. And so it really has kind of raised the bar here in Greenville for Fox Carolina as well. This is where it gets really exciting for me because Gray's position essentially is, if we're going to be in a marketplace, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it in a first-class manner that is respectful to our community, our business community, and the viewers in which we serve. We really serve 2 different audiences. One is certainly our viewers. And we hope that's every person in the region. And then the second is our advertising partners, in which I should have mentioned Paul Antosi, my director of sales, right here. Is moral support here today. But we hope to be good community stewards as well. And so here's just a few. We've owned the station since December 1st of this past year. So it's been roughly 9 months. Since that time, we've done a 10% increase in our personnel headcount on the entire station. I got to add a bunch of positions, create a bunch of new jobs that didn't exist before. and then recruit both here in the upstate and really nationwide to fill those jobs. And so we brought a lot of people into the market. We've hired a little over 30 people since I started in December, which is a tremendous influx of talent and enthusiasm. But a lot of those people in the newsroom, especially, which is really exciting. Relaunched our news mobile app, our weather mobile app, new website, and then our OTT app on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And then probably the most exciting thing that I've got a chance to do in every market I've been in is being able to create new content that really the market needs. It's very difficult, as you guys, many of you are in business here in our community, it's very difficult to create demand, but it is much easier to satisfy existing demand that maybe perhaps is not being filled. And we feel like we're doing that in a few different ways. We're increasing our local content by 35% by hour to 13 hours a day of local content beginning this fall. That will include our morning show from 4:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., our new lifestyle show called Access Carolina that will air live every day from 10 a to 11 a. We got to hire a bunch of new people for that job. It's going to be everything fun and everything food, drink, music, lights, lifestyle, the arts, everything that we can do and that our community already has here in the upstate. We're creating a new midday newscast, which was a day part that we were not in before. And instead of providing it at the same time as our respected competitors at 12 p.m., we decided we would move into a new time period where there is not an existing newscast. And so that'll air live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. That's going to start in January because of everything else that we have going on. We're also expanding our flagship newscast at 6 o'clock to a full hour. And so from 6:30 p to 7 o'clock, we will now be local, and that'll be a big, giant 6 o'clock news every day. You may notice a trend here. That'll be our 5.5 hours a day that we will have live local newscasts in a time period that is not served by one of the other big three networks here in town. And so that wasn't an accident. We think it's something that the market will like. Just this past Friday, we expanded our 11 p.m. sports show called the Fox Carolina Tailgate. A little twist. Not only are we going to all the different high schools every Friday afternoon, but we're trying to give the market something that doesn't currently exist as well, which is a show that's focused on college football. And I don't have to tell anyone in this room, Clemson and South Carolina, are endless amounts of content and entertainment on a weekly basis. I'm very much hoping that the University of Tennessee gets to battle Clemson this year in the postseason, because it might mean that Tennessee actually won a few games. I don't know, because Clemson always seems to be there, and I'm sure they're on their way back. So that started this past Friday, which is really exciting. And then we added an additional replay of a 10 to 11 p.m. newscast that's going to air overnight for the third shift workers. I've been able to do that in every market I've ever been in, and it's been a success everywhere I've been. And so really exciting. It's a lot of moving parts right now, especially 9 months in with quite a few new people in the building, but it's really exciting. We're also investing in our actual facilities that we have at our studios off of Pelham. And so we created 2 new sets that you just saw this past Friday night get unveiled with our dual use interview set, which was actually an extension of our main studio that'll be used both for Access Carolina and the Tailgate show, as well as our new outdoor Fox Carolina garden set. And we're just, when I left the station this morning, we were finalizing the 3 robotic cameras that will be used on that set. And so it's very exciting to have that. The weather's so great here almost year round that we felt like having an outdoor place to do interviews and content was something that would go well.
I'm going all in, put it all on the line, 'cause I know that I'm a win.
At Fox Carolina, we go all in on local.
More local news and programming than anyone else.
13 hours a day, every weekday.
More opportunities for you to reach customers in the upstate and mountains. As a partner with Fox Carolina, you'll have exclusive access to key local news viewers in time periods where the other news stations are absent. The Emmy Award-winning Fox Carolina The Morning News from 4:30 to 10.
No other station makes the commitment to stay local. Updating information all morning long.
At 10 a.m., we have an exciting new show called Access Carolina. It's your ticket to all things wonderful in our area. Food, travel, lifestyle, and more with product integration and sponsored content opportunities.
Followed by Fox Carolina Midday News at 11 a.m., the only newscast in the time period.
So from 4:30 a.m. all the way up until noon, we are exclusively 100% local.
Local. We do that in the evenings too, starting at 4 o'clock.
Updating the news for the next 3 hours, and when others go national at 6:30,
We stick with the Carolinas.
In the late news, once again, Advantage Fox Carolina. We're on a full hour before the others at 10 o'clock. The #1 late newscast, the first look at local breaking news.
we begin tonight with breaking news in Greenville County.
Made it out and are okay.
Could get some frequent lightning as these storms barrel into the area.
We stay local all the way to 11:30 p.m.
The opportunities for you to target customers with Fox Carolina's platforms are incredible. We provide you with the best digital targeting plan available, using the expertise and reach of Gray Digital Media to focus on your customers.
At Gray Television, our focus is what defines us. A small company that started more than 130 years ago in Albany, Georgia, and over the last 8 years has transformed itself into a true multimedia enterprise. We're revolutionizing the way we view local news in the future with new content and the best distribution in the business. We're getting results, and our results reap astounding rewards. Our portfolio of stations is recognized as the top in the industry, winning hundreds of awards and setting our sights on what's next. Our focus is on the future. And that future is you.
At Fox Carolina, we have access to Premium for our streaming technology, the audience that you want to reach at any time on any channel. On top of that, we can place you on the Fox Carolina News and Weather app and streaming TV through Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple. We have the methods to put you where you need to be when you need to be there.
Did we mention reaching local audiences with sports? The brand new Fox Carolina Tailgate Show covers the area's most popular teams like no other station. The Clemson Tigers, South Carolina Gamecocks, the Carolina Panthers, and the local high schools.
Fox Carolina broadcasts the majority of regular season games of the region's favorite, the Carolina Panthers.
Don't go anywhere, folks. It's going down. We're in the wild now.
Just like we like it here at Fox. We've got the biggest games.
Cannot wait for this.
What a night. The stars are out. This is about what's now. Welcome to the Field of Dreams on Fox.
Oh, my goodness. Watch this.
There's no slowing us down now that Fox NFL has started.
Lightning strikes.
The 0-2.
Absolute madness. Magical. Tonight, we make history. Epic stuff.
This is a game where legends are born.
Here they come. LA Coliseum doesn't get any better than this right now.
This is a U.S. team driven for greatness.
What a game, folks. Tell a friend.
We're in the wild now.
Local eyes are on Fox Sports.
I'm going all in, all in.
We're all in on local and helping you grow your business right here.
Local.
Local.
Local. That's what we're all about at Fox Carolina.
Yeah, appreciate that. Definitely a theme that you'll see there. That is a hyper intense focus on our local community. That is the future of broadcasting. Our industry has gone through tremendous change over the last decade. Perhaps the next decade being the biggest change, perhaps in the history of broadcasting with ATSC 3.0. Can I switch to the next one? And we're about to, while he's doing that, we're about to embark on a truly historic for the Fox network period of time here. There we go. In sports, we're about to have more NFL playoff games since any network has had since 1982, 81. And so kind of a luck of the draw on how it all goes, but we'll have this Super Bowl. It'll go to another network the following year, and then we have the Super Bowl again. And then for the first time in its history, this November and early December, the FIFA World Cup, which is one of the fastest growing sports in the world as far as viewership goes, will actually air on. We'll have 32 games, I think, give or take, including every one of, finally, we have the U.S. national team that's going to be in the FIFA World Cup this year. So that's coming this November. It's going to be wild. You're going to have 30-something games over the period of soccer games in the period of 3 weeks. NFL, the World Series, the Super Bowl in a couple months is going to be pretty wild. So surrounded around that will be an absolute ton of local content and local news. A big part of our investment, and I felt like it kind of ran with the theme here, is the investment in our local community. And so our theory and my own personal belief is that you do get really, really behind a few events that you can put your full effort towards. And there's a bunch of examples that we've been able to do that here in the last year with our blood drive that we were able to do with the American Red Cross in every single city, which is a bit of a logistical challenge that we serve in North Carolina and South Carolina. School supply jam that just finished up. And then we're about to embark again on our Operation Coat Drive, which this past December raised over 13,000 coats for the Salvation Army here in town. And that's not us, obviously, that's the community that we live in. And so it's truly kind of amazing to see that, you know, we put the message out there, and it's amazing what people step up and do for their local neighbors. This is my final slide. And so I just wanted to speak briefly about NextGen-TV, which is an investment not only that Fox Carolina and Gray Television has been making across the country, but it's an industry wide investment that we're doing. This market, along with Nexstar and Sinclair, also came together to launch, and I believe we were probably somewhere around the 30th market in the country to go to ATSC 3.0. This is the first evolution of our actual broadcast signal since HD was done roughly 10 years ago. This is a connected television experience. And so I always think this is crazy because, people say, oh, you're on the TV, right? Yeah, we're on the TV. We're on, 12 to 15 different platforms every day. That's the biggest challenge for us. We're a publisher. We're focused on journalism and helping our partners here in the community. As a company on a nationwide level, we have to constantly adapt to how users are digesting our content. And nowadays there is a massive, there's no cable operators in here, are they? If there are, my condolences. But people are dropping cable in mass right now, and they're going to one of two different solutions. Well, really one of three. The first is kind of old school. I'm always amazed. I'd almost like to see a share of hands just because I'm always, how many people realize that you can get television, our station, along with probably 30 other stations for free over the air with an antenna? Yeah, cool. A lot of groups out here, I see like 2 out of 10 people raise their hand. It's amazing to me how many people realize, like, I can't afford cable, I can't watch. You don't need it. Buy a $20 antenna and boom, you've got 30 different channels. So there's some back to the future happening there. There's also virtual MVPDs, which are basically virtual cable providers. If you're like me, I'm a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. There's only one virtual cable provider that actually has Bally Sports. where you can watch the Braves over the air, and that's DirecTV Stream. Charter Spectrum is the other one. That's the only way you can actually get those channels right now. But there's that. And then there's also obviously the connected TV experience through Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire. And so we have to have really adaptable apps that can allow people to digest our content however they want, whenever they want. And that's obviously the move that it's going to right now. The next gen TV is actually taking that one step further. And that's what's very exciting. And again, it's revolutionary for our industry, but it's still a few years away, because right now you've got a single-digit penetration percentage in this market of people that can actually receive a 3.0 signal. And what that is essentially where your TV is an IP address. And so it's a two-way experience where you can select the content you want. You could have our linear stream or what's on TV. You can supplement that with specific shows. You can, radars, whatever you want. It's very much kind of like an internet connected television experience. There's also tremendous addressability that comes with that from our end. So we could send, in theory, a separate newscast to Asheville than we do here to Greenville, which this is a unique market in the sense where that actually probably makes sense at some point once the universe is large enough for people to actually, consume that. But this is what's always kind of crazy is when you look at it, so this is where we are. You want to find us, we're in a lot of different ways. And so it's something that you really can't control. You don't want to control. I mean, we have no interest in controlling how people use technology. The market will dictate that, and then it's our job, obviously, to adapt and be in those places. And so that's really all I had for you guys today. I just wanted to thank Dave and the Rotary for giving me the opportunity to just kind of introduce ourselves. It's so funny. We did a research study the second month that I was here, fairly in depth, and we ask all sorts of questions, right? And the questions are, do you North Carolina, South Carolina, do you care about North Carolina? Do you care about all these different things? And then you ask about us sometimes too. 4 out of 10 people think we're owned by Fox News, which is not true. However, there's, it's kind of the best thing about being a Fox station is that you're a Fox station. The worst thing about being a Fox station is that you're a Fox station, so it's a double-edged sword that, we take in stride. But, I can promise you, we have an enormous amount of dedicated professional journalists. This is not a starter market. You see some younger kids, perhaps our predecessors who were the caretakers of Fox Carolina may have hired some, younger journalists. We have upped that game considerably. And that's an investment. It's an investment in people. And so, we're very excited about where we're headed. But it's important to us to be, good stewards, not only of we're kind of unique in that we're a private business that operates on a federal license. And so it's important that we do things the right way. But it's important to us to be a good community member as well. And that means doing good things in the community, but also being, that watchdog that people expect, journalists to be. And, to hold the powerful to account, to make sure our elected leaders are doing what they said they were going to do, and being that voice for the voiceless. And so that's a responsibility that we take very seriously. And in today's evolving media landscape, when you look at the challenges that some of the other platforms and no fault of their own, but newspapers being consumed differently and radio, et cetera, if not us, who? And so we take that very seriously, and it's something that we do, hopefully, at the most professional level every day. Doesn't mean we get it right every time. And if you have any complaints, send them to Paul, and he'll, So are there any questions? I see a hand up. I think it's a great idea. In fact, we were having that conversation earlier. I'm sorry, I'm messing up your camera here thing. All right, I'll stay still. We make a conscious effort to do that on a near daily basis. And it's always one of the biggest things when we do a research study and we're like, what do you want to see more of that you don't see? Everyone says, I want to see more positive news. I want to do it. And I agree. I'm in the same boat with you. I love hearing these uplifting stories where we can do it, and we do it on a regular basis. It seems the other stories sometimes that we feel like we have a duty to cover that, perhaps aren't as uplifting, get a bigger reaction sometimes and maybe are more memorable. But I agree with you. And we're doing a lot of that, and we can always do more. So I agree. Yeah. And I agree. I think we have a duty to recover everyone. Demand dictates, coverage. And so I always tell people, because it's very common that people say, I want you to cover more. I run the TV station. I take strong efforts to make sure that our newsroom is editorially independent. And so you will never see me go into the newsroom every day and say, you got to cover this. Because I feel like once you cross that line, it's hard to get it back. But I agree with you. Can we cover more local? Absolutely, and we should be. Yeah. Well, that's one that we're very excited about. And so Access Carolina is a big step in that regard, and that is meant to be 90% editorial. And when I say editorially, that means they're covering really entertaining and useful information. There is a place for what we call product integration and sponsored content, which we make sure to disclose. And you'll never, that's a big issue, as a hot button issue in our industry. And it's something that we would never do to just kind of someone pay us money and then we do it. It's all very much disclosed. But Access Carolina absolutely is a place where, if we wanted to do something or they wanted to do something with the Greenville Drive, there's a great place for that. I didn't really hit on it a whole lot, but one of the things that Gray really brings to the table as an ownership group is Gray Digital Media. And so you heard Jason Shervy, our digital sales manager there, talk about it. We are part owner in a premier OTT. I don't want to make sure stop me, Paul, if I get into the lingo too much, but when you're watching all these apps and everything on Apple TV and Amazon Fire, the vast majority of that is still ad supported. And in fact, there's a massive Netflix. I'm sure you guys may have seen it's been covered by mainstream news that, Netflix is about to add an ad supported tier. And we're like, wow, what a great idea. Broadcasters have been doing that for 70 years, supporting their business model that way. But yeah, there's certainly a place for that, properly disclosed. And our filter, we don't do everything. It's not just, Margaret Burnquist, who is our host, and she'll be joined by a yet to be named co-host. And their filter is it entertaining? Is it useful information first? But there's a place for that for sure. Any other question? I saw the hand up back here first. I don't have exact numbers on me, but there's certain positions that lend themselves to in-market. We have a lot of different disciplines within a TV station. There's engineering, there's sales, there's creative services, there's marketing, and there's also obviously the newsroom. We've created some really interesting partnerships with local schools here in the community. In fact, just since I've been here, there's 3 off the top of my head that I know we've hired from Greenville Tech. And in fact, North Greenville University, we had one of their professors come in and do a summer internship with us, which was fascinating. 65 years old, he's the intern, in the newsroom. But it was great because, he actually, we used him in a variety of different ways, but we actually have hired 2 photojournalists from Greenville Tech here recently. I know a producer from North Greenville, and so that's something that obviously is our goal. Anytime we can hire someone locally, one, from a practical measure, they stick around longer, because they want to work in the community they grew up in. But 2, it is part of being a good community partner. As for some of the other positions that maybe aren't entry level, where you could get someone right out of school, you probably noticed that a longtime fixture of Fox Carolina, Cody Alcorn, is going to Atlanta. It was recent news, and he came to me months ago and said, Bryce, this has been a personal goal of mine for a while. His contract was up, and he said, I want to move to Atlanta. And so, we were happy to help him in any way we could. But that meant obviously that a fixture of Fox Carolina was going away. And that's not an entry-level job for sure. And so Justin Doherty joined us from Channel 7, the Sunbeam-owned station in Boston. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. I hope you guys think that. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks so much, Bryce. We appreciate the efforts. Appreciate the efforts of Fox to give back to the community. Of course, we take that seriously in this club as well, and we will be donating a book to Alexander Elementary as one of our projects where we give back to the community. So thank you again for being here. I have to say, I'm really intrigued by the 4:30 a.m. market. I think if anyone is that industrious or productive, they may be good Rotarians. So we may need to think about how to get involved in reaching them. I told Lorraine Holman she could come up and mention one thing going on in Alexander Elementary. So please do that.
Hi, Rotary Club. I am looking for 7 committed volunteers for this year to help at Alexander Elementary. I'm the chair of the Read to Me committee. And this year we have decided to appoint a volunteer to a kindergarten or a first grade classroom, and you would be with that classroom all year. So total commitment time would be literally about 6 hours of your time because you're in and out in about 20 or 25 minutes, and you would read a book to that class once a month. I've done this for 2 years with a first grade class, and I love it. I'm a rock star when I come in the door. I bring them things. It's really been a sweet bond with not only the teacher who appreciates the time, but also the students. So if you are interested, we're going to start this program in October, and you'll go once a month. So 8 visits for the whole year. And I would love to talk to you. I'll stick around. Thanks for considering it.
Thanks, Lorraine. A couple announcements before I close this down today. First, if you have not gotten your Greenville Holiday Village t-shirt, Roger Heitzig has them. This Friday is our launch date with the drive for Greenville Holiday Village. A lot of good work is going on with that project. I suspect we've still got room for volunteers, Roger. So join us on Friday at 6 o'clock. Is that the start time? All right. Okay, sounds like the place to be this Friday. Next 2 meetings, Camber Parker has just started a really interesting company that works with young professionals to get them engaged and active in the workplace after COVID. She's a consultant. I think she'll be great in talking with our club about getting young professionals involved. She's speaking with us at our first meeting in September. That would be a great opportunity for you to bring someone who's a young professional to join us in this club. And then our second meeting in September will be our annual Teacher of the Year program. We'll, of course, have an in-person Discover Rotary for that. That Teacher of the Year program is always so exciting to see the really excellent educators we have in Greenville County Schools. So if you know people who have a heart for public education, hey, that'd be a great meeting to bring them to and see if you can get them to Discover Rotary right before that. So keep those things on your agenda. There are always things we can get you involved with if you're looking for an opportunity to serve, and thank you for spending this time with us. So if you please stand, we will say the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is verifiable? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you for being here. We are adjourned. Sorry.